On the northeastern Peloponnese stand the ruins of a city said to have been founded by the hero Perseus, the slayer of Medusa and savior of Princess Andromeda. From this city, Mycenae, arose the first true civilization of mainland Greece, the Mycenaean civilization, which laid the foundations for the world later described by Homer in his epic poems. Welcome to 10 Minutes History. The roots of Mycenae reach back to around 1750 BC, when small villages began to turn into fortified settlements. Its people were genetically similar to the Minoans of Crete, but carried a greater share of ancestry from ancient hunter-gatherers of Eastern Europe and Siberia. From the beginning, they were different, more warlike, more practical, and less focused on luxury than their Minoan neighbors. At first, they lived in simple mountain communities, but by 1700 to 1650 BC, these grew into walled towns. At their head stood a warrior elite who ruled through strength and prestige. Unlike the peaceful Minoans, the Mycenaeans surrounded themselves with walls, weapons, and symbols of power. Contact between the two cultures was frequent. A fresco from the Minoan site of Akrotiri on the island of Thera shows warriors wearing helmets made of boar tusks, a typical feature of Mycenaean soldiers. Their buildings and art at first imitated Minoan style, but where the Cretans favored elegance and complexity, the Mycenaeans emphasized size and solidity. Like the Minoans, the Mycenaeans built their strength on maritime trade. During the 16th and 15th centuries BC, Mycenaean goods spread across the Mediterranean, from Egypt and Italy to Cyprus and Palestine. From Greece sailed olive oil, wine, and pottery, while copper and tin, the key ingredients for bronze, arrived in return. The famous shipwreck of Ulu Barun stands as evidence of just how vast and well-established these trade routes were. From the 15th century BC onward, Mycenae expanded its influence beyond the mainland, across the Aegean, into Asia Minor, and even onto Crete itself. Around 1450 BC, Mycenaean warriors took control of the great Minoan centers, including Knossos, giving rise to a mixed Minoan-Mycenaean culture, a fusion of two worlds. From Crete, they adopted writing, which they later developed into Linear B. When Michael Ventris deciphered it in 1952, he opened a window into a world of bureaucrats, taxes, and meticulous record-keeping. Each Mycenaean kingdom was ruled from a palace that served not only as the residence of the king, but also as the heart of economic, religious, and administrative life. At the top stood the Wanox, the supreme ruler overseeing everything from religious ceremonies to the allocation of supplies and labor. Beneath him was the Lauagetus, the leader of the people, likely a military commander or royal deputy. They were supported by governors, corytares, their assistants, procorytares, and local officials known as domokoroi, who administered the surrounding villages. Society was divided into three classes: the ruler and his elites at the top, free citizens below, and at the bottom, slaves who worked for the palace or the temples. Mycenae was not the only power center. Other strongholds, such as Pylos, Tiryns, Thebes, and Orchomenos, flourished as well. It remains unclear whether they formed a confederation or were united under one great king. However, Hittite records mention a powerful realm called Ahiyawa, ruled by a great king, and all evidence suggests that its heart lay in Mycenae itself. The Hittites referred to this people as the Achaeans, and it was the Achaeans themselves, led by the mighty king Agamemnon, who brought down the great city of Troy. The palaces were more than symbols of authority. They managed the entire economy. Before the invention of money, a palatial economy prevailed. People brought their goods to the palace, which redistributed them among the population. From these centers came grand construction projects. The draining of Lake Copais in Boeotia, dams near Tiryns, the reclamation of marshlands, and even a network of roads across the Peloponnese, enabling swift military movement. For the Bronze Age, it was a triumph of engineering. The Mycenaean world was also deeply religious. Texts from the palaces show that many of the gods later worshipped in classical Greece were already known: Poseidon, Athena, Artemis, Dionysus, and Zeus. Yet Poseidon was not only god of the sea, he was also the earth shaker, ruler of earthquakes and the underworld. Many rituals were led by women, priestesses who held high social status, much like on Minoan Crete. Around 1250 BC, signs of destruction began to appear across the Peloponnese. Cities burned, and the Mycenaeans responded by strengthening their fortifications. In Mycenae itself, the walls were doubled, and the famous Lion Gate was built. Despite the devastation, the civilization recovered for a time and remained a major power in trade and diplomacy. Hittite texts still mention Mycenaean expeditions in Asia Minor. The second wave of destruction came around 1190 BC. Clay tablets from Pylos record a sense of panic, orders to mobilize and prepare for defense against an unknown enemy. Who they were remains a mystery. Perhaps the Dorians invading from the north, perhaps the Sea Peoples, whose assaults ravaged the eastern Mediterranean until they were finally defeated by the Egyptian pharaoh Ramesses III. Internal conflict, drought, or earthquakes may also have played a part, anything capable of shattering the fragile palatial system. The aftermath was devastating. In regions such as Boeotia, Argolis, and Mycenae, populations fell to a fraction of their former numbers. People fled to Cyprus and the Levant, while some peripheral areas, the Ionian Islands, northwestern Peloponnese, and Athens, escaped the worst of the collapse. Nearby Tiryns expanded, becoming the dominant local center, while Mycenae itself lost much of its power. After 1100 BC, Greece descended into what we now call the Dark Age. Writing disappeared, trade collapsed, and the old palaces crumbled into ruins. Yet out of that silence, a new world would one day rise. The world of classical Greece, its gods, poets, and heroes who never forgot where they came from Mycenae. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of 10 Minutes History.